It's hot as I'm in the attic. It's hot as I'm in the attic. It's hot as I'm in the attic. Transmutation is really the hardest, most intuitive skill that I've tried to develop. I wouldn't say it's the hardest skill because it's like blatantly the hardest, but I would say it's the hardest because it's the most intuitive. Because what does it mean to transmute something? It means that when there's an energy coming at you that's hostile or oppressive or stressful in any kind of way, you have like a sort of way of like grabbing that and turning it into something else. That's that transmutation. But it's something that you do, and you kind of have to do completely separate from the realm of logic. You need to sort of just tap into your presence and your spontaneity and your being and just let that go by itself. And the practice of transmutation really, in a way, it's kind of like the practice of freedom in every moment. Because are you really free if circumstance can bog you down? Are you really free if certain conditions can take away your spontaneity and your freedom of being? You know, and how can you develop a full freedom without transmutation? So in learning to transmute constantly, you learn to exercise freedom, and it makes you somebody that's more attractive. That's what's been on my mind recently too, because also that transmutation aspect is also like a subcategory of learning how to be yourself and how to express yourself fully. And you learn how to do that while still maintaining the love principle and the freedom principle and the transmutation as far as like you putting out things that are positive. That sounded like a word salad, but that does have significance behind it. What did I say? I said transmutation is also a subcategory of being yourself. And it is. But you can be yourself in the sense that you express your negative tendencies, and like if you're wrathful or too lustful or any of those things. But if you want to ascend to your higher self, then you need to learn how to express yourself fully, but also transmute things into higher vibrations, and do that freely and spontaneously and masterfully. I would say skillfully. Yeah, that's some real shit. And so I have that on my mind a lot recently, and it's something that I really want to get good at. There's no but. It just takes some time to learn, and that's fine. Things take time to learn, you know what I mean? Another thing that I keep thinking about that I really want to get good at is I really want to develop, and I keep saying this, and I keep saying this, and I'm going to keep saying this until it sticks. I want my voice to be resonant, piercing, and authoritative. I want, when I speak, for that to carry weight and power behind it. I really want that, and I seem to have developed really inefficient vocal tendencies due to, how do you say, just maladaptive pathways from high school, I would say. That's been something that I've also been meaning to work on. It's hot up here. It's hot up here, but you know, it suits me. It's hot up here. It suits me. I got hair in my mouth. I'm blessed to have the mind that I have. And I think about my life as a whole and what my purpose is and what I'm doing here and what it all means. It's like, I don't know, it just seems to be so... It does seem to be thematically connected, but it just feels like there's so much that my soul needs to evolve. It almost feels like I spent many lives stuck, so that in this one, my primary concern has been with evolving as much as I can possibly evolve. It seems that from the moment that I was born, I was like too sensitive. It seems like from the moment I was born, from the moment I was conscious, since before I was even conscious, I was riddled with cowardice and weakness and sensitivity and just seeing too much at the same time. And it's not like high IQ thing where like people are just like fucking intelligent and awkward, although there were definitely elements of that, but it seems like what I see is not purely logical. It's not purely, analytical and pattern recognizing in the way that traditional IQ is measured. It seems to be more abstract and not just emotional, but spiritual. Has it always been like that? I don't know, but it's like the more that I sought to learn, the more that I went down a certain kind of path. I just can't help, like, I don't know. And then I think of everything. I think of, like, if I were to speak super freely in a way that might sound kind of crazy to a lot of people, which I don't care, I think even down to my face and the way my face has evolved. If I can put a photo like right here of like what I used to look like years ago and what I used to look like as a kid, I should do that. It's like my face has evolved a lot. I look way different now than I used to, and that reflects a change in the soul. That reflects a evolution in the spirit and the soul and my body, and because I'm a small ass nigga. I'm short. I'm like 5'3¾". But I tell everybody I'm 5'4", because come on now, come on. I could claim that. I could claim that. Oh. I think about that. And I think, like, why everything in my life seems connected. Everything. And the more that I gain, like, deeper spiritual knowledge, you realize that everything about you and what you've experienced all has a through line. It all has a through line. And I realized that the way everything has evolved, the way that I looked and how that shifted as my internal shifted, as far as my face, and my physiognomy, I pay attention to that a lot, and I've studied like videos on that. And then my body and how it's shaped, it all seems to have been both reflective of and purposefully constructed for a lifetime that is meant to evolve as deeply as possible. It's like I didn't get a single advantage off the rip, except my ability to analyze. That was the only thing that I got. I didn't get good looks. That was granted to me as I grew. Looks were granted to me to an extent. So that wasn't given to me off the rip. I wasn't granted looks. I wasn't granted a big, like a strong body to lean on. I wasn't granted financial status. Like we were fucking homeless when I was a jit. I had nothing. I was scared to ask for anything. I was taping my toys together just so I didn't have to ask for shit. You know what I mean? So like nothing. I wasn't close with anybody in my family. We moved around a lot, so I didn't keep 99% of the people that I met in my life. I was awkward and I was different, and there were many things that I didn't understand inherently. And so I wasn't even granted a usual normal social standing. I didn't have any advantage, not one, except for my ability to understand, except for my mind in a way. And I threw every part of myself into that, into understanding that and actualizing that, and nothing else. I threw everything into that and nothing else. And so I say all of that just to say, because I feel like I'm dragging it on, that it seems that every single aspect of my life was developed, even in the painful moments. They all were reflective of what I had asked for and what I had idolized. Ever since I was little, I was drawn to the archetype of somebody who had overcome. And I was born to a mother who had overcome, who had adversity stronger than I did and overcame. So, and that is a theme in my lineage and where I come from, because we come from dirt. You know what I mean? We come from Puerto Rico, nigga. We don't even come from the States. The slums out there, which be worse. So even the family I was born to overcome. And I was born with the only aspect being my ability to understand so that I could evolve, so that I could overcome spiritually. And so I kind of come to the conclusion with all of that in mind that I have to have died in a previous life in some way, or even if you deny the existence of multiple lifetimes, in any case, it seems that this life of mine was meant to embody that. And so I think about that. I think about that a lot. I think about how all of that plays in, because I always wanted to be. I was always drawn to the archetype of somebody who overcame. The Slim Shady story, nigga, the main character of Black Ops, of the Call of Duty series, where it's like, you know what I'm saying? You're the one that saves. You're the one that they need. Alex Mason, we need you. You know what I mean? The main character in a story, the one that everything rests on. And these are the things that lit my spirit up always. It's the reason I started making music, because I saw what that did to somebody, how they could elevate it, how you could be so good at something that you overcame everything. You know what I mean? That you sort of converted from the status of a normal person to something of like a symbol, something greater than yourself. These things, I don't know. It just seems to be what I'm meant for, is what I'm saying. And I don't know, but I feel like if I think more of like the day-to-day things, like managing my finances and making sure I got enough income coming in, and oh yeah, I still haven't worked on that music video in like a week, oh yeah, I gotta go back and work on that more, and all of the spiritual things, and how I want to develop myself, and gotta make sure I hit the gym, because I want to get stronger. I was at the gym earlier, kind of side note, and I was thinking of, you know, you see niggas, because I'm a small nigga, I'm a small dude, and you see guys that are like fucking 6'5" and big as fuck and they're strong. You know, I look at them and I say, yo, it don't matter how strong I get, my nigga, like, I'm cooked, you know what I'm saying? That's how it be. But then I think it's deeper than that, you know? I think it's deeper than that. It goes, I have a responsibility as a man to be strong as strong as I can make myself, to be strong, to handle adversity. That's my responsibility. That's necessary. It's not something that I can give up for any reason. It doesn't matter. It's important that I'm strong, that I'm able. And not just strong in body, but strong in spirit. But these things are connected. That's part of the reason that I want to have a stronger voice, because I think the voice is an expression of the soul, in a similar sense to the way that the eyes are a window to the soul. And so if you can train a voice that's strong and commanding and not easily overcome, in a way you're sort of training your soul to be that way, because that is an expression of the soul. And so when exercising the muscle through which you communicate in your body, you strengthen, because in a way sound is like a spiritual force, in the same way that music inspires you in a way that you can't really, and connects you in a way that you can't really describe. So too does the voice resonate with people. And a weak voice, even in a strong body, does not convince people of your strength, even if you have it. It's in the same way that women are more attracted to your aura, your presence of being, more than anything that you explicitly say or do. They want to feel your masculinity more, and they want to see any kind of surface level display of it. Although these things, again, can be connected. And so that's just the tie-in to how I want to grow stronger, and that connects to transmutation, and that connects to mastery of the self, and how, yeah, and just how all of that is connected, you know? So yeah, those are some things that I think, and those are some things that I'd like to work on. And that's kind of where I'm at in life, because in all intents and purposes, to be honest with you, like, I'm doing things right. I'm not, like, my debt, I'm on track to pay off my debt within probably the next 8 weeks or so, as far as credit cards go. And besides that, I just have my car that I'm paying off for like a while, but I plan on sticking with the car. And so, you know, by the time 2027 rolls around, I'm going to be in a position where I'm making good money. As a man, you kind of want things to go by faster. As a man, you kind of want the big cinematic moment. You want the moment that the label contacts you. You want the moment that you get like 1,000 views on every video, or like when you hit 1 million, and when you start making money, and when you become financially free. You think about all of these things, and they are moments that come, but they come from moments like this. They come from the quiet moments. They come from, you know, the passive times that you spend just thinking about your future and thinking about yourself and making just little steps in that direction. Greatness is rarely ever formed in the big moments. It comes from those million small moments that you spend, even if you don't realize what you're doing, preparing for the moment that the big thing test you for, you know? And for me, the big thing comes from, I would say that the thing that like the moment that I think I would know that I am truly becoming who I want to be is when I have a baseline of being that embodies certain things that I am currently trying to develop. So my baseline is higher level spontaneity, love, stress management, expression, creativity, and strength, both in the body and in the spirit and in the voice. And I think that once I develop those things, it's kind of tricky to say like once I develop, because do you ever really get there as much as it's things that you exercise constantly? But there does become a point like when you are training in the gym and training in the gym and training in the gym, and it's like I want to be able to casually bicep curl 50 pounds. Yeah, like you'll get there, although that won't be the end of your journey, because then you keep going. And in that case, my 50 pounds would be managing these things. That is to say that there comes a point where you are able to embody certain ways of being easily and casually and stuff like that. And so yeah, I guess if there's any value to provide in this video, it would be in watching somebody who's really committed to their evolution and sort of seeing the reality of it and how quiet and how slow it can be. And how internal it genuinely is, how internal it is. I spend so much time experimenting with myself internally. You know what I'm saying? And I say this specifically in the way that, because it's harder. It's harder when you literally have nothing. It's harder when you didn't have the money to buy a computer when you wanted to be a professional gamer as a fucking middle schooler. And you didn't have the money, so you were connecting a fucking library laptop or a library mouse and keyboard to the back of your Xbox One and Googling every single day when they might release keyboard and mouse compatibility for Xbox, and the latency is so bad, but you learn it anyway and you get good at it anyway because you want to do it so bad. And so that is to say though that like if you have the money, if you have the resources, if you have it, if you're out there and you have it, you know what I'm saying? Like, get somebody to teach you, get somebody to coach you, get somebody to do those things. But when you don't have any of that, when you don't have anybody in your family that knows, when you don't have anybody who can understand you, who can see what you can see in your mind, when you're exceptionally different, this is for those who are truly different, you have to understand that your learning is going to be in a realm that isn't even properly paved. And the people that can help you along that path are people that are far outside of your reach. And so you need to find a way alone. You need to find a way alone. And so much of your time is spent just trying to figure it out. A nigga just called me. So much of your time is spent just trying to figure it out. But that figuring out develops you by itself. That figuring out is a blessing in and of itself. It is something that develops you. It is a part of the win. Is who you become in the process of gaining it. You know, and so if you're at a disadvantage, understand that you're at a disadvantage for a reason. If you're at a disadvantage mentally or socially or physically, as I was every single one of those, physically, mentally, socially, financially, I didn't have a damn thing going for me. You know what I mean? And so when everything in your life seems to be against you, understand that this is what you're meant for. That the overcoming is going to be the blessing that you give to the world. Your overcoming of this is going to be what allows you to give something unique to the world, because these are the stories that people listen to. These are the stories that people look for. These are the stories that inspire. And when you're long gone, that's what's going to carry. If you could give that forward, if you could gain that in yourself, if you could develop that in yourself, and if you could pass that forward, that's what matters. That's what changes you. And that's important, and that's unique. And it's not something that people who were granted things could ever develop within themselves. It's not. And most people aren't going to understand it anyway. The people who didn't have to go through that, they're not going to get it. They might be inspired by you, they might respect you, they might this or that, but no one's really going to get it. And until you do it, you're never going to get credit for doing it. And even at the level where I'm at now, where I'm like leagues and leagues and leagues and leagues further than I was back when I was fucking terrible in middle school. No friends, no connection to my family, ugly as fuck, short, still short, nothing going for me. antisocial, didn't know how to talk to people, not fit, stuck in my room all day, nothing going for me, nothing. But unless I make it to the next level, unless I get further, unless I take this and go even further, unless I go leagues and leagues further, even more, at least 10 or 100 times more, it's not gonna count. It's gonna count on yourself, you know what I'm saying? And it's going to ripple to the people around you as it has for me. But if you want it to really count, if you want to maximize the benefit of it and the ripple effect that it has on the world, no one's gonna give you credit. No one's gonna give you credit for how far you came. No one's going to give you credit for the leaps that you've made. You might find a couple people and that'll be the extent of it. If they really know you and if they really love you. But the world at large, when you talk to that girl on the street, you can't be like, hey, you know, I used to be like this and I really accomplished this and that. Like that's not, nobody cares. Who are you now? Who are you now? What is the mastery in your being now? How can you transmute now? Everything that you accomplish needs to be represented in your being. And if it's not represented in your being, if it's not represented in who you are and how you talk and how you do things and your consistency and in everything that you are and everything that you represent, then it doesn't matter and nobody cares. If it's not represented in your being, it does not matter. And that's why everything external to you, everything that you deal with, everything that you go through, everything that you experience serves your inner development, your inner growth. And that's all, and that's everything. And that's the point of it, and that's why. And that's why. Because yes, what you gain externally is fine, but how many people are rich with no mastery? How many people are rich with no charisma, no swag, not fit, not strong spiritually? They have weak voices, weak bodies, weak spirits. What did they gain? What did they gain from doing all of that? In fact, I would say they're actually worse off. Because now they're comfortable. They got rich, they got whatever, they did it the easy way. You know what I mean? And now they have to find a way to develop forward without the external being catered to that. And so, to be honest, it's an unfortunate position if you didn't develop it and you made it. So that in a way, that's a positive way to look at it. So yeah, let that be your inspirational message. I could talk about this for a long time, but felt like recording something and I feel that this has been worth it. So yeah, subscribe because I look extra good today. Subscribe because I look good today. Subscribe because it's me, nigga. Subscribe because it's me, nigga. Yeah, shit. I love you.